Welcome again to our informative YouTube channel on the International Baccalaureate Program. We'll be covering what you should know and do when in the IB program, diploma or partial, and some general information or advice for new IB students. If you've looked into the IB program or you've already applied, you've likely already heard everything you need to know. But if you want some more information and recommendations from IB students about specific courses, this video will cover that. First off, some general rules and advice you should follow. For the first year, you should focus on completing as much as you can in IB while studying enough to maintain good grades. By completing assignments like the internal assessments, extended essay, and CAS as soon as possible, you won't have to worry about it later on in your second year. Of course, this isn't applicable to all IB students, as when you do the IAs depends on your teacher. Your CAS project can also be completed within the first year. A lot of the course content can also be done during vacation days, especially summer break. Generally, it's best to study ahead of time. At the very least, give yourself 2 weeks to review and test yourself on the course material. Materials your teachers give you and the textbooks are the bare minimum for study material in IB, and you'll need online resources to review past exams and question banks. We've gathered some resources that we found to be extremely helpful in certain subject areas that will help you. Some study advice for math is to take advantage of Revision Village's free sections to see whether the website is helpful or not, and whether it's worth the investment. The other alternative is to share one account with the whole class in order to spend the least amount of money per person. Another resource, especially for psychology, is Think IB, which lists summaries and resources for all the studies you'll need to memorize. One thing to avoid is legal websites that display stolen content for free, which is highly illegal and can get you into trouble. Other subjects like the natural sciences don't have any reliable sources for studying. Revision Village does offer materials for these subjects, but aren't nearly as effective or efficient as its math course. You'll have to make do with what you find on the internet and what your teachers give you. For IB Math, the difficulty varies from student to student, and whether your math background is strong and whether you chose an HL course or SL. As mentioned previously, a Revision Village can be a powerful tool to find and learn how to solve IB-style math problems, while understanding the mark scheme and where points are awarded. For those who can't afford Revision Village, there are similar services available on the internet which accomplish the same thing for free. For studying math, understanding why formulas work and having a strong understanding of key concepts is important to solving challenging problems which require critical thinking. To score high on tests, the best way to study is to simply do practice problems. Familiarize yourself with them and make sure you can do them quickly. For those going into IB Math, taking a Pre-Calculus 11 course in the 10th grade can be strongly beneficial. Finally, having strong foundations and knowing how to quickly factor equations are skills that will help you a lot when starting your IB Math journey. This is especially important as IB exams won't feature cookie-cutter questions that you'll understand immediately. IB-style questions typically involve critical thinking and figuring out what to apply and where. For IB diploma students, theory of knowledge differs from other IB courses as there's no material to study. The class is mostly discussion-based and only has 2 major assessments. If you complete them ahead of time, it'll free up your schedule to complete other course content in other subjects. Nonetheless, the course is mandatory to graduate with an IB diploma. CAS is another core subject like the extended essay to be completed independently on your own time. The course can differ depending on what your teacher wants of you. Some want consistent updates and demonstrations of skill, while other instructors might want a set amount of experiences. CAS has one major project that should be completed as soon as possible, preferably during your first year or summer vacation. Only full IB diploma students will have to worry about CAS as it isn't mandatory for partial IB students. For students who are taking IB history, it's important to make sure that you understand the causes, practices, and effects of an historical event. Additionally, make sure that you are able to distinguish historical leaders, as it may prove to be useful when analyzing historical cartoons. IB history is a course with a lot of content, and at times it may feel overwhelming or difficult to know what to study or not study for tests and exams. When studying history, it's more important to understand the linear and chronological order of events, knowing what caused what and the effects of it. Memorizing specific dates may prove useful to support your argument, however, they are not strictly necessary to score high. Moreover, it's extremely important to make sure you do not retell stories, but rather incorporate critical thinking and have a well-structured argument. As for historical resources, the IB textbooks prescribed by your history teacher is usually enough. However, further in-depth knowledge about any historical event can always be found on the internet. For language courses such as English, Spanish, or French, the difficulty of these courses vary from teacher to teacher. However, from personal experience, IB French is relatively easy compared to the sciences, especially students coming from a strong French background or French immersion during primary school. As for IB English, the difficulty can vary, however, you can generally expect to read a lot of books, short stories, and poetry. A strong understanding of the themes and story should be enough, and in-class writing shouldn't be too much of a challenge. Natural sciences, like physics, chemistry, and biology, are content-heavy, requiring a lot of time to study and understand. The subjects rely heavily on memory, and performance can depend on the quality of the teacher. Because memorization is so important, taking extensive notes is crucial. The difficulty also makes it easy to fall behind if you miss a lesson. Studying for these courses is a challenge itself, as there are very little materials provided to you beyond a few review sheets, lab experiments, and textbooks. You'll have to study with peers or find materials online. For internal assessments, or IAs, we suggest that you get the work done during the first year of IB, so that in the second year, there'll be less work to worry about. Typically, IAs are introduced near the end of the school year, grade 11, and assigned for you to work on during the summer break or next year. However, next year will be filled with predicted grade exams, university applications, and many other things to worry about, which is why we recommend getting as many IAs done as soon as possible. This way, work won't be crammed during the second year, and there'll be more time to focus on more important things, such as predicted grade exams and the actual exams. Mandatory for full IB diploma students only, near the start of the first year, the extended essay, or EE, will be introduced alongside some crucial exercises depending on what your EE organizers have planned for you. For this portion of the IB program, we advise to get it done immediately, so it doesn't have to be a hassle later on. There'll also be checkpoints in your EE progress that you'll have to meet, making it important to work on it consistently instead of procrastinating. In terms of choosing a topic for your extended essay, it's recommended that you choose a topic that interests you, or else you'll lack motivation and willingness to research and write about your topic. Supervisor feedback is also crucial to making a quality essay because it's likely your first time writing a research paper. It'll also help guide your writing and give feedback on where to improve. On a final note, those who have already learned and are familiar with the second language can choose the corresponding language course for IB and immediately skip to the second year course, giving more clearance in the schedules during the second year.